Good.
Hi, how are you?
Good, I met you.
Hello, how are you? Hello. Good to see everybody. Hi, Julian. Ooh, hot.
Hot seat.
Have a
Cold
seat.
seat.
Cold seat?
Yeah, it's cold in here.
Are you kidding? Oh. To be a lady of a certain age, there are no sleeves. I was warm before I got here. When people are saying, oh, it's too cold in the courtroom. No, it's not.
Well, it's good to see you. Catch us up on what you're doing.
And thank you, everyone. It's nice to see everyone again. Excited doing more and more mediation, which is something I really, really enjoy. Got recertified in appellate mediation and doing a good bit of that. One of the things I really enjoy about that is assisting the parties as they come to a resolution of their matters. A real interesting part of it also is the varied areas. As you all know, since it's not my first time in front of you, a little over 25 years in a varied civil practice. I really enjoy the diversity of it. I think that's the foundation and the fundamentals that enabled me to think that I would make a good circuit judge, because a circuit judge has a variety of areas of law that they would have come in front of them. Done everything from family to civil litigation to probate and guardianship, and now within mediation, doing a little bit of everything there also.
So we have set you up a number of times.
Yes,
It's been our pleasure to do that.
thank you.
So tell us about what's happening at the level of the governor's office. Why are you not getting it done?
You know, and I've asked for constructive feedback about that. One of the things I've always prided myself on is my willingness to learn. I enjoy learning new areas of law, and so I look at each and every opportunity that's presented. Every time there's been a vacancy, if it was an opportunity that I thought that I would make a good fit for, I've gone ahead and applied. When I get up to Tallahassee, on the way to Tallahassee, I'm actually kind of doing mock interviews. I'm talking with colleagues and judges about how do I make the best presentation. The committee's heard me say in the past, one of my weaknesses is I'm a terrific advocate for my client, but I don't always advocate for myself, so I had to learn to improve that. I feel like even though this committee has evolved, I have been fortunate to be sent many times to the governor, and I have learned from each one of those experiences a little bit more about what I have to do to polish myself up to be the applicant the governor's looking for. As I've said in the past, they're picking good people. I'm in a great company. I would love to be the one who is selected and will continue to apply until I am, but I'm taking each time as a learning experience. It's not a stumbling block. It's not a stopping in my path. I still aspire to be a judge, and I'll continue to apply.
As you know better than I, once you get up there, it's multifaceted. It's not just your substantive knowledge, it's also who you know and how you know them, etc. You employing those types of resources, and are you learning anything through them about what you could be doing more different?
Yes, on both. As I said too, the governor can't know every candidate who's going to appear in front of him for the various boards and judicial appointments and things that he's doing. So he's relying on those in the community who have contact. I've been a resident of Volusia County nearly 40 years now, practiced throughout this circuit. And one of the things I learned early on is, as a general practitioner, you're dealing with everybody in your community. So I have a great number of civic organizations, legal organizations, community and charitable organizations that I've been a part of. As this process has evolved, I've gone back to those that I've worked with. When I started was just a member, when I moved into leadership roles, where I'm back now to just being a member, and ask them if there's an opportunity to advocate on my behalf. And I feel like the last couple of times that's been very helpful, because there are newer individuals putting my name back in front of that committee for consideration coming from different directions.
Would you ever run?
Pardon me?
Would you ever run?
Yes, I considered it. Each opportunity that comes, I look and evaluate. I know there's one coming in 2020. I would be hopeful that if I'm selected now that I would be the selection by the governor, but I keep that eye on that also.
What do you do to evaluate it? You said you look at each one and evaluate it, so what are you evaluating?
I'm looking at where I am in my practice. There was an opportunity in 2014, but I had a family member who was very ill, so I took, my family was more important than that, as much as I aspired to it, made that my priority. I think the only downside I can say, I've had tremendous flexibility and freedom within my practice, but right now I'm a solo practitioner. So when I'm looking at evaluating it, I'd have to make accommodations because my first responsibility would be to my clients. So if I envision a run, I have to make sure that they are taken care of at the same time. That's the downside of not being with a large organization or with a large firm. There's not somebody to walk down the hall and say, could you take care of this for me?
Just by virtue of the math, we have sent up more than 6 people who have put in this time. So someone who's gone up before is not going to make it out this time. What makes you stand out as an applicant among even the top tier of people who have gone up before?
Excellent question, and something to be concerned of. I treat each opportunity, there's no guarantee that just because you made it before, you will make it again. I think the diversity that I bring is the varied areas of the law that I have practiced in, which fit into what a circuit judge would do. I think the second point would be my community relations and the various things I've done in there. I pride myself on my organization, my communication skills, my nearly 12 years as a mediator. I think that whole package is what makes me stand out and should be one of the 6 that you sent.
How did the interview go at the governor's office last time? I don't know anything, so you're laughing.
You haven't heard the fun part?
No.
It was probably 90 degrees in the shade. Did the short walk down, had a little bit of time, got a bottle of water, was sitting in the corner with my book and just reading and kind of collecting myself. And a gentleman sits next to me and says, hey, I hear they're going to have a fire drill. And I'm like, no, they're not going to have a fire drill. I'm here in my suit, I'm dressed, I have an interview. They're having a fire drill. 2 minutes later, beep, beep, beep. And I don't move from my chair. I'm assuming someone's gone out a security door and that's all there is to it. And slowly people start leaving their offices and I'm still sitting in my chair and little Marshall came over and said, you're gonna need to evacuate because there's a fire alarm. And I'm like, no, someone went out that door. He's like, those are your stairs, go out. We spent about 50 minutes outside while they cleared the whole building. And then they had us come back in. As we came back in, you had to, of course, go back through security. As I went through security, there in the lobby was Mr. Nordby, Miss Sasso, and Mr. McIver. They said, we'll see you in a little while. And of course, you had the time frame that changed. So we had a much more abbreviated interview than we would normally have. But I still felt like it was substantive. You know, I had been fortunate, had seen them just a few months before, so I felt like they still knew about me.
What did they focus on? What did they focus on really in their interview?
This interview was different. Every interview is different. I mean, my study bag, you've heard me talk before about my study bag, is a variety of things because I'm never sure what's going on. This last interview, I had done a lot of work and research regarding the appointment process because those were cases that were coming right out of the Supreme Court and I thought that they might have some questions about that. Didn't have a single question. The interview before, they had several questions about that. So this particular interview, I want to say we were talking a little bit about juvenile sentencing. It varies. It's almost always substantive though. Very little, very beginning chit chat, but all substantive. And it varies from constitutional issues, sentencing guidelines. I think I shared with you also one interview. We talked one time about the alimony statute had gone in front of the legislature, but the governor hadn't yet signed the bill. And I was concerned in my homework bag that I hadn't studied it enough. And when they asked me, they said, well, why didn't you study it? Because the governor hadn't signed it. And then the 3 interviewers got into an argument amongst themselves about where the governor was, and I just sat back and waited. Well, and then they looked at me, and I'm like, oh, please don't have any questions, because I don't know. So it can be anything, the gamut of things. You just got to be prepared, and which is similar to being a circuit judge. You start your day out doing one thing, and you can segue into many other things throughout the day.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much.
They'll let everyone know by the end of the day.
Appreciate it.